Welcome back to a series so good, my grandma baked me cookies. In today's video, Hasan is now comparing himself to Penguin Zero or Moist Critical. He's now being exposed by more lawyers. He's also crashing out at them for pointing out literal facts. Remember guys, the law is simply pro-Ethan. Asmongold and Tectone have both responded. Lots of updates from Hasan's orbiting moons who are not doing very well. Subscribe or you gotta share your next pizza with Frogan. You're not getting a slice, pal. Now, quick recap. Last time we talked about Hasan, he was doxing and threatening a viewer for leaving a hate comment. And he was actually so stupid, he ended up doxing and harassing a completely innocent random other guy who had nothing to do with the situation at all. Now, it turns out the guy who he harassed actually responded. Here we got the Apex crypto guy. Damn, that's me. I definitely did not comment on any of the messages he read, but thanks for calling me an ugly skinny bitch, I guess. I mean, it's crazy that Hasan still hasn't even apologized. I mean, your unhinged fan base saw you bring up his face on your stream and tried to literally threaten him. Some of them probably still think this is the guy. The least you could do is clarify and apologize. But of course, Hasan will refuse to take any slightest bit of accountability. Twitch, hello? Can we ban Hasan so we don't normalize doxing random people? I have something for Hasan and his fan base. Seek therapy Yu-Gi-Oh card. Proceed directly to your nearest mental health professional. Poor guy literally did nothing wrong and all of Hasan's demons jumping on him. Zero accountability by him and Twitch. How unexpected. Anyways, after this, a chatter called out Hasan and then he started comparing himself to Moist Critical, pulling out the guns on Sneeko.
Is waving a gun around on Twitch considered a crime or breaking terms of service? This is not a real gun, pussy. And not only that, but also, I like that this is the new meta. People are like, dude, I can't believe you were waving a gun around. Good luck, dude. Every single person that masturbated when Moist Critical did the exact same thing, okay, is now going, this guy needs to be banned immediately. Post haste, please. You should keep it in frame. I do.
Ah yes, exact same thing. Of course, Hasan is gonna literally leave out all the context and argue in complete bad faith. Here's some of the differences between the scenarios. First off, you pulled out a gun and then showed a random unrelated guy's face, doxing a random guy. And you essentially made your entire fan base go harass him over nothing. He wasn't even the guy who wrote the hate comment, so he literally went after an innocent person while brandishing a weapon, which is illegal, by the way. Moist Critical did not do that. He did not harass an innocent person. And then you didn't even correct it, which obviously makes it worse. Second off, these are different platforms. YouTube is obviously different than Twitch. It has different rules. On Twitch, you get banned for calling Frogan fat. On YouTube, you don't. So we just want fair application of TOS. If you call the guy a skinny bitch, obviously you should get the same treatment as calling someone fat. And by the way, you were totally on your high horse there defending Frogan. I can't believe these people are making fun of her. Like, bro, you're doing the same shit. And then even more reasons, it's obviously different words, it's different context. If you remember the whole Sneeko versus Charlie situation, Sneeko actually pulled out the gun first and he talked about literally going to Charlie, and Charlie made a joke about mags or something in his response. Obviously, the context is entirely different. And if you think a hate comment is equivalent to pulling out a gun, that is just completely stupid. Believe it or not, in this scenario, you are more like Sneeko than Charlie. You were not provoked. The hate comment does not count as a provocation equivalent to somebody pulling out a gun on you. Charlie is way more justified because Sneeko first pulled out the gun and started dancing with it. If you think a hate comment is equivalent to that, everybody gets 1,000 of those a day. By that logic, basically everybody should be waving around guns. Anyways, after this legal mindset called him out, he tweeted, just to be clear, if Twitch fails to act on this strongly, they open the door to a host of issues, legal and non-legal. Don't worry, he will be banned this Sunday for 23 hours. It seems the law is an Israel dick rider, guys. The law is simply pro-Ethan. I can't believe Legal Mindset has the audacity to talk about the law when there's a genocide going on. How disgusting. So anyways, he made a video called Twitch has a Hasan problem. First, he talks about the preferential treatment.
Twitch has always taken a preferential stance when it comes to enforcing its guidelines. Now, today, there was an absolutely extreme incident which really points out the problem for Twitch in having this unequal enforcement involving Hasan and how this can have legal consequences. And this is involving him swinging around what appears to be, and that's the very key here legally and overall, what appears to be a weapon.
Right, so obviously everyone is blatantly aware of Twitch's bullshit preferential treatment for anyone that agrees with their extreme branch of politics, which essentially means being an open terrorist supporter. And he also points out that how it doesn't really matter if it's a real gun or not. That was like a hot debate in the topic, but it doesn't matter because the person on the other side doesn't know that. For example, if somebody walked into your house with a fake gun and you didn't know that, you didn't realize, and you shot them in self-defense because you thought your life was in danger, they obviously don't get off scot-free just because it was a fake gun. There's no way that you could have known, and you might have actually thought that it was a real threat. Then he talks about how Hasan's response to the hate comment is absolutely not proportional, which is something I mentioned as well. Like, you can't be waving around a gun for anybody that says type some bullshit in your comment section.
But the response that Hasan gives here is not proportional nor appropriate to these comments. Let's play this. So let's be clear. He's gone and retrieved what appears to be a pistol. Now, many people have pointed out it could be airsoft or it is airsoft or whatever else. But the key here, and this is a key that is not just in analyzing this for Twitch terms of service, but also broader for the law, is that you can make a physical threat. You can make a threat or try to intimidate somebody with even a fake weapon, with a fake knife, with a fake gun, with a fake bomb. If you were going to try to hijack a plane and you attempted that with a fake gun, it would not be material in terms of your defense. You would not be able to say, oh, but, well, it was fake, so I couldn't do it all along. You know, when you get caught and arrested and thrown in jail, you don't get off because, oh, it was fake. No, you would lead a reasonable person to believe that was real, and a reasonable person could have fear of that knife, gun, bomb, whatever, despite the fact that it's not objectively real. So
yeah, I mean, that is exactly the case. If you're going to be taking a fake bomb onto a plane to troll the people, congratulations. I mean, you're still going to prison, you absolute moron. You still caused the terror, you made people afraid, you caused the unrest, and maybe there was no danger, but that doesn't matter at that point. And that is pretty much similar to the case with Hasan here. That viewer could have thought that their life is in danger. They don't really know if it's real or not. So the defense just doesn't hold up at all. Hasan Glazo's in shambles after this. Then Legal Mindset points out that he actually paired doxing with brandishing a weapon, which could be illegal in some places.
Okay, fair enough.
once again, brandishing the weapon, flaring it around. Obviously, there's a point to this. Obviously, there's an individual who this is directed at. You know, this is something that's not really ambiguous in the general intention. So now that you've paired, so you've linked up brandishing a weapon, what appears to be a real weapon, whether or not it is, whether it's an airsoft or whether it's fake. You've paired up brandishing a weapon with doxing, which is revealing their private information, which, by the way, in certain jurisdictions, in certain places in the world, is illegal. So you've done two things which are potentially illegal. There's the brandishing, the threats, the intimidation, and then you've got the doxing, right? So you've got two separate things you're now doing together. So that this is combining to make it even worse.
But he did the same thing as Charlie.
It is only similar if you literally look at them and go, well, both of them had a gun. Literally the most copium shit ever. He's literally showing the guy and flaunting his weapon in response to a hate comment, trying to get his fan base to go after them, scouring through his socials trying to find out exactly who he is, in the process hurting random other people. It is just not okay in any circumstances, and I'm pretty sure the guy who he doxed has a case against him, especially because he didn't even type the damn hate comment. Then after this, he talks about how Twitch needs to take action or they might be cooked on this.
Because now they've got to decide what they're going to do with Hasan. And in the past, they've only given him slaps on the wrist. That is, they've given him 1 day or 24-hour bans or sometimes 12-hour bans. And that's been all they've done with him. But now we've got a serious problem because we've got a situation in which if he is not banned for this, this opens up this behavior for others. So it opens up this behavior, these threats for other people, which can bring on what appears to be real weapons, knives, bombs, and dox people, threaten them.
I mean, that is exactly the problem here. This is what happens when you don't punish people like Hassan. People get the message that this behavior is okay to do. And then they just start escalating and escalating. And then we got people like Mike from PA who brazenly do this shit, and like it's 10 times worse. They just go after 4 different people. They're putting bounties on people. They say on site. Okay, the worst part is that Twitch is not just people sitting at home. A large chunk of Twitch is actually people IRL streaming. And the thing is, what happens if you do this in public? If you pull out a gun in public, real or fake, and you start brandishing it on random people, now granted the context is a little bit different, but people might start thinking that is okay if you let this sort of behavior slide. Like, oh, one of the biggest streamers did it, why can't I do it? And that is actually going to start happening when people like Hassan are not being banned for things that are openly in violation of TOS. Terrorist support, for example, aiding them by spreading their propaganda and lies, literally illegal activities. And I feel like the only reason people like Hassan orbiters get away with putting literal bounties on people is that because the victims have not decided to sue. They would have an absolutely wonderful case against them, but unfortunately, people don't have the time, energy, or money to go through the headache of the legal process. Unless you're Ethan Klein, of course. He will take that shit to court. So it really is just this massive house of cards that is about to crumble down. And if Twitch has any hope of surviving, they need to take action immediately or they are going to get completely cooked. And by take action, we don't mean 24-hour ban on his literal day off. That is not called taking action. It needs to be a proportional response. At this point, it should be like a perma ban, not gonna lie. Then Legal Mindset talks about some of the other lawsuits that could be brought up against Twitch.
But you open yourself up to illegal consequences as well. There are arguments in terms of breaching the contract between the creator and the platform in terms of banning somebody for one type of behavior, whereas you don't ban somebody for another. So you don't ban Hassan for this, but let's say another creator is banned for this. Well, there might be a cause of action open up there. Now, there's a lot of challenges with that. That's a difficult one. But one that's even more interesting and one that is really untested, and in fact, there may be many people looking to test this, is a consumer type action under a private right of action. Every state has their consumer laws, and those laws are sometimes very, very strong. And one thing they protect against is unfair and deceptive practices. And it indeed is a very strong case to say it is an unfair and deceptive practice to benefit some people while punishing others. Because this bias, for example, Hassan bias, is not disclosed anywhere. It's not given out in the terms of service. When you read the terms of service, nowhere does it say everyone will be punished except for Hassan Piker. Everyone will be banned except for Hassan Piker. Or, for example, if you want to be more broad, everyone will be banned except people who share Hassan Piker's political beliefs.
Hello, Dan Clancy here. Andrew, are you telling me I didn't put that in the terms of service? I actually meant to. This is a Hassan Glazer platform. My bad. In fact, I'm going to throw Hassan a birthday party tonight. He's invited along with all of his Diddy cronies. Anyways, I hear Diddy's court case is going well. Guess we're in the clear too.
Dan, what the heck, man? No, but the bias is actually crazy. It is completely evident. It is open and shut. Tectone banned for calling Frogan fat. Hassan not banned for calling someone a skinny bitch. What is the difference? E-Rob banned for threatening a viewer. Hassan not banned for threatening a viewer. By the way, E-Rob did not pull out a gun. He literally just said he's gonna punch them or something. It's just so obvious. The bias is so clear. And it doesn't really help Dan admitting that he literally has Hassan as his favorite streamer. He wishes him happy birthday. He agrees with what he says and does. It's just such a wash. And I can't wait. I can't wait till somebody sues these losers into the ground, bro. Twitch deserves all of this. Then he brings up a really good point. He talks about how people will be fooled into thinking this stuff is okay, but then they end up getting banned for it because Twitch obviously doesn't enforce their TOS equally, and then they will have a case against Twitch.
By lulling them into a belief that they can stream on your platform safely and do what they want, just like Hassan, but then they're ultimately punished. And they're punished for a much longer period of time. They're losing a much larger slice of revenue, memberships, subscriptions, etc., affiliate deals than Hasan. So you're able to point to that and say, I have damages because I am being banned for 7x, 10x, 30x, way longer than Hasan, and I can bring this private cause of action for an unfair and deceptive practice on the part of Twitch. And there's a lot of folks that may be opened up for that. Real big problem, and would be even a bigger problem if there was a real incident where somebody got into an altercation where there was a threat made like Hasan and then somebody responded with force.
Oh yeah, that shit could totally happen in an IRL streaming context, as I pointed out. If they think, okay, Hasan did it, so I can do it, and they make the dumb mistake of pulling that shit out in public, everyone's gonna be pointing to Twitch. They will point to this incident as the reason that they thought it was allowed as well. And at this point, there needs to be like a class action lawsuit or something, a group of people coming together for all of the lost revenue from all the false bans, all of the damages that people have sustained for being unfairly banned from these platforms. But I don't know, Twitch seems like they will literally burn in hell rather than ever sell out Hasan. They are attached at the hip at this point. And we know that Hasan's billionaire dad has a lot of influence, so maybe he's just holding everybody hostage.
What do I see them doing? They've got to do something against Hasan. Hopefully they give him a longer term ban, more than just 24 hours. But unfortunately, Twitch has been known to be very light on its favorite golden boy.
They're literally just gonna give him a ban on his day off and say that, hey guys, we banned him. Literally a free vacation. Unless people literally start emailing Amazon and going after advertisers, this stuff just isn't going to stop. And unfortunately, all of the good creators on Twitch will also be affected in the crossfire. I'm feeling like there's going to be some sort of an adpocalypse coming up. Basically, people will start getting increasingly frustrated with stuff like this happening. They will go after the advertisers and Amazon, and they obviously don't want any bad PR, so they're going to start taking drastic measures. Everyone will get banned. Everybody will suffer because Twitch simply refuses to hold them accountable for anything. Twitch, hi Hasan, when are you going on vacation tomorrow? Okay, we'll do it then. Take care.
Leave your pillow behind.
Sorry, the spirit of Dan just took over for a sec. Now, Hasan responded, but first let's check out some updates on the Hasan orbiters. Basically, here's where they are at. We got 41, 37, 33. In the past 48 hours, total donations received for the Ethan Klein Defense Fund. Caseytron 259, Frogan 160, Denims 151. Denims has received $10 in the last 12 hours. Basically, the donations have completely stagnated, and it seems they're just not going to reach their goal at all. They couldn't even raise half the amount they asked for, half the amount needed for the lawsuit. So yeah, they're just completely cooked now. The initial sort of hype, all that like rage baiting on Twitter, you know, lying about Ethan and basically anyone that supports him, that worked for a little bit and you got a few donations, but it's just not nearly enough. And I guess, Hasan, it's time to open up that wallet, boy. Moving on to Caseytron. Right, so last time we talked about how she was getting married outside a Walmart, and she was basically doing her usual stick, calling everybody incels and like saying her man is a big strong man. Also, somebody pointed this out, but there was like a grinder notification sound that played.
Oh.
I don't know where that came from, but Casey, you might have to double check your mans. Also, what an absolute sucker that got roped into paying for her lawsuit. Absolute idiot. Anyways, here's what she's been up to. Caseytron is apparently watching a movie. Caseytron is currently doing a fundraising stream for a copyright infringement lawsuit by watching a movie. Copyright infringement lawsuit by watching a movie. You can't make this shit up. What the actual F is going on? What Twitch, Dan Clancy? Old man's asleep at the wheel, lol. And here we have her actually watching a movie. Absolutely shameless. I think she knows she's cooked, bro. Universal, you got an idiot already being sued for copyright. Literally doing the same thing to y'all. She's making thousands of dollars. Bro, she gets sued by Universal. Her entire family is going bankrupt at that point. Raising money by committing massive copyright infringement. The amount of retardation and idiocy. Only Caseytron could be this level of fucking stupid, dude. Violating copyright again while being sued for copyright. 1 billion IQ move. She's literally gonna catch another lawsuit while fighting this one. So anyways, after this, she started beefing with Ethan Klein again. Basically, Ethan posted this. She's on a road trip right now instead of finding a lawyer. How much of the 41K do you think she's already spent on weed? She responded, I would never spend a cent of the GoFundMe for my legal defense on anything other than that. Ethan Klein is mad that I'm having a better time in Branson in a $60 per night hotel room than he is on vacation that probably costs more than low-income people make in a year. So let me get this straight, by the way. Casey Tron has apparently been a content creator for like a decade. So like, how do you have no money? Like, how are you broke? I just don't understand this. What were you doing this entire time? You've literally been unemployed and earning no money. You've literally been a bum for 10 years, and now you're crying about being low income? Get a job. Oh my god. We got the brain rot Hassan fan. I do not understand why he's always publicly advertising how miserable he is, despite having zero actual real problems. I mean, how is this acting miserable? He's literally just making fun of you. Here's a crazy fact. You can completely shit on people on a regular basis and have a wonderful time every day. In fact, that's what I do. Literally living the dream life here, all right? And I still find time to shit on you guys. It's called efficiency, you know? We got Nux responding, the incels are watching your career with great interest. Casey, in case your man turns out to be gay, don't worry. I got a great candidate for you. Mike from PA will be stepping up. He's an actual ladies man, I hear. Honestly, the way he's posting about you is absolutely horrible for his case. I'm surprised his attorney hasn't told him to shut the frick up. Bro, you're talking about Casey Tron. She doesn't even have an attorney. The slob is speaking. Quick, everyone pay attention. All that money and not a drop of semi-glitude inside. Be big and beautiful. I don't think that's a compliment. By the way, is this Gromp? Your name is Gromp? I don't know which Gromp this is referring to. If this is the Gromp from League of Legends, it's supposed to be like this fat blob monster. Anyways, then she continued crying. Today was a rough day. The non-stop brigading on all of my socials. The smear campaign started by bad faith incel. There we go. There we go. She's an addict. She cannot make a single statement without the word. Bad faith incel cult communities to be immediately laundered by snark subreddits. Cry baby men wouldn't last a day being a woman in this manosphere incel hellscape. Lord save me. And then she's just posted a picture of her like, did you get evicted or something? Where the hell? What the heck is this? She's in an orange suit. You got arrested? What? It was funny when you were encouraging it to happen to Ethan, huh? If incel was a legal defense, you might not be in debt for the rest of your life. Oh my god, that's brutal. Just smoke another blunt, bro. You'll be fine. Then smoke another one. That's what you do, right? We need a financial audit. We need to see how much of that legal money is going to weed. But anyways, in classic Hassan fashion, he actually responded to Legal Mindset, calling him a right-wing freak. Like, no way you're actually denying the facts, bro. Hassan takes shots at Legal Mindset implies he will never acknowledge his content.
Dude, there's something so funny about people being like, dog, have you seen the Legal Mindset video about you? Dude, if I were to cover every Rumble lawyer, fake lawyer that actually is like a fucking right-wing freak that spends most of their time talking about like trans people, I would lose my mind. I would have no time to cover anything else. I get it. A lot of you are drama perverts, okay? And you nut when you think about the prospect of drama. But I'm not going to pay any mind or any attention to some fucking psychotic MAGA lawyer, not a real lawyer, but a passport bro, who offers fucking courses on becoming a passport bro, who primarily fucking streams on Rumble. Why do you guys come in here and ask for this stuff? It's never going to happen, okay? It's never happening. We're talking about Le Boobies, 24 karat gold Le Boobies. Dude, you got to watch the Sigma Grindset lawyer's fucking video on you. Okay. I'm good, man. Thanks.
Okay, so first off, you are literally just lying. Legal Mindset is a lawyer. That is not up for debate. That is a fact. Now, you can say that you don't agree with his analysis of the events. You can say that his interpretation of the law is not correct. But you can't say he's a fake lawyer. That is just wrong. But obviously, Hassan does not give a single shit about the truth. He just wants to smear Legal Mindset in front of his chat and in front of his followers so they don't take any words that he says seriously. Even though he he is an actual lawyer, please open your textbooks, ladies and gentlemen, to chapter 2 of Hassanetics. The law is pro-Ethan. Lawyers only count if they support terrorists. That's how you actually pass the bar. You proclaim your support for Hezbollah. That will be on the test this Tuesday. Make sure to have the right answer. We only use the Hassan school of logic here. Of all the great thinkers in history, first came Socrates, then Plato, then Aristotle, then Hassan Piker, of course. Truly a legendary figure in history. I really wonder, when 50, 100 years pass, will this guy actually go down in some like textbooks as one of like the stupidest people in history? Because he really is like a modern day icon. A mind-boggling level of stupidity. Heck, maybe I'll go down in history for documenting this shit, dude. Maybe one of your guys' comments is gonna show up in the curriculum. Some alien's gonna be studying the human species and have to come across Hassan Piker. Now, this person responded, bro, Legal Mindset, he legit called you a fake lawyer. Who's gonna tell him? Legal Mindset responded, technically that's defamation to imply a lawyer is not a lawyer, but slander is par for the course. One might say it's his strong point. If Hassan was like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, he'd have like 1,000 points in terrorist support, 2,000 points in slander, 3,000 points in bullshit, special ability in gaslighting. Is there ever a moment where Hassan isn't talking down to his chat? His own fans ask him totally reasonable questions, and he acts like they just support Nazism. How do they even watch him knowing that he hates every one of them, Lamau? Yep, Hassan is like the ultimate condescending person. I remember there's like a clip where he basically says that people are too stupid to understand any interpretation of politics at all, so they have to go through the filter of Hassan before actually coming to any conclusion. So for example, if there's like a shooting that happened on the news, you can't just think, oh my god, that shit is bad, that shit is evil, the shooters need to be condemned. You need to first look at Hassan's expert political analysis, which says that it's not a false flag, guys, but it really would have been the perfect false flag. And then you gotta make your conclusion based on that. He really is like a cult leader. He just wants to control the narrative completely. He doesn't tolerate dissent even 1%. Like, Ethan Klein agrees with them on like 95% of things. They're both like super left-wing, but then the 5% where he doesn't support terrorists is like, oh, I need to ruin this guy's life. I need to make a content cop video with iDubbbz. I need to get all my orbiters to go after him. Anyways, after this, Asmongold reacted to the situation.
I get it. A lot of you are drama perverts, okay? And you nut.
Is he back to the I'm above drama thing again?
Not a real lawyer, but a passport bro.
I don't see how Hassan can criticize someone from being a passport bro whenever you went to brothels overseas. I think that's a bit of a double standard. If you are applying this much editorial control to a website, at what point do you effectively become a publisher? The really bad one was the Arab to Jew tier list that they did. That's the one that I think is really going to get them in a bad situation. Is that if they're banning and applying rules to people based off of perceived ethnic differences, if that can be proven in court, Twitch is actually fucked.
Yep, that is definitely one of the crazy situations, a very clear instance where people were being openly anti-Semitic, and Twitch was essentially supporting that. I mean, I'm glad that Ethan is at least taking some of these people to court, but my god, Hassan is just sliming his way out of everything, despite actually being the worst of them all. Well, maybe Mike from PA is probably worse. That guy's an A-class fucking loser. But he's a close second, and Mike is really like small, so nobody really cares about him. Also, is anybody surprised that Hassan is like the Omega hypocrite? Like, actually talking about passport bros when this guy went to a brothel in Germany that was rated for trafficking and had underage people. Like we have no idea what Hassan was doing there. Absolute degenerate freak. Anyways, Tectone responded as well, and he's just like making fun of Hassan.
Oh, poor me. Everybody's just out to get me because they can't handle me because I'm so hot and gorgeous and jacked. Oh, they just want to be me so bad. Flips hair that's completely covered in morasteride and most likely bought from Turkey. Anyways, chat, if you don't subscribe to me, I'm gonna fucking kill you. What a fucking loser, bro. It is actually psychotic. I'll test it then. I'll dox a viewer in the next week or so, and then I'll point a fake gun at my camera and I'll threaten their life. Hey guys, do you think I'm gonna get banned for that? Do you think Do you think I'm going to get banned for that? Yeah. Hassan, you are a fraudulent, bald piece of shit. I'll get permit for that shit in underneath 24 hours.
Bro, if Tectone did that, he would get banned so hard, they would personally buy a rocket and put him on that shit to eject him out of the solar system. They would make him join Frogan in the cosmos. I feel like everybody is just beyond frustrated at this point, at this level of unfairness. Nobody likes a cheat, nobody likes somebody who skates by the rules and gets preferential treatment, and nobody likes fucking terrorist supporters. It's literally basic stuff. And I don't know how we've gotten to the point where we are so insane as a society. There's like a fragment of the population that legitimately follows and thinks that this is all okay. I don't know what the hell they're teaching out there in America, bro. Then he gives his take on some of the stuff we talked about.
Hassan has issues with getting death threats like every other content creator does on this fucking planet, but I don't understand why he doesn't have issues with terrorist organizations calling for the death of all Americans when he's a fucking American, right? It just doesn't make any sense in my mind. This guy's a terrorist, by the way. He's a Houthi pirate. Yep. A legitimate terrorist has gone on record saying they publicly support Hassan Spiker. If a terrorist organization was backing me, I'd probably think for a couple seconds, now, what did I do to cause that?
I can't get over the fact that a terrorist is openly glazing Hassan. They are literally returning the favor. It is actually insane at this point. If anybody had any doubt, this pretty much gets rid of it. Terrorists simply love Hassan. And why wouldn't they? He's spreading their propaganda left and right. Hassan here really helping Americans realize who the true heroes are. You know, the people kidnapping and killing people and bombing ships. That's the good guys. Like, you gotta have a ridiculous level of twisted logic to come to that conclusion. Now, it turns out people are pointing out the insane hypocrisy on Twitter. Ethan throws it back to the time Destiny's Child was banned on Twitch for using a toy gun. So he posted this story. Destiny's son caught a permaban for showing off this toy gun with an orange tip. Zero punishment. Yeah, well, you know they absolutely hate Destiny's guts and they love Hassan, so that's obviously gonna be the case. Not even a kid can get away with that shit, but Daddy Hamas Piker obviously can. Oh my god, this one too. Gideon got permabanned for spamming L ratio on Pokimane stream, while Hassan goes out of his way to harass, dox, and threaten the wrong person that was unhinged on his stream. Now click this video or nothing. That's right, I'm not threatening you guys. I'll leave that one to Hassan. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.